So, yes, this video is overdue, but trust me, those promises I've been making throughout this whole series, if you don't know, go check them out in the playlist up here. Yeah, those promises, I'm fulfilling them properly with video evidence. Yep, that's right. One shader coming up with a double. Not only that, but I've got a couple of little appetizers for you as well. So, one of those is just going to be some rewarding drifting with a pleasing user interface, which I, if I do say so myself, made myself. So, I want to thank you so much for your patience, and do please enjoy the experience. For your entree, I present to you the stylized shader. A delicate palette of vibrant colours compressed into simple but subtle eye candy for your delectation. If you wish, our chef may take you through his process. Enjoy.
That shader was a nightmare to complete.
For starters, there was no documentation at all. Like, I'd maybe see some scraps here, or some variable definitions there, but apart from that, nothing. And secondly, just to make things harder, I still don't know why I did it to this day, but this perfectly functional render pipeline here, I decided I'm gonna try and make my own. And in that, I essentially had to is a strong word, but I essentially decided to take this and go, nah, I'm gonna upgrade it. I'm gonna use the upgraded Unity render pipeline and use that to make my own cooler stuff. Which meant the perfectly okay working Toun-shader, which I just straight off the internet, I had to upgrade from CG to HLSL.
Don't worry if it doesn't make any sense to you, because if I'm being completely honest, even now it barely makes sense to me, and I wrote it.
As for understanding what I could back then, we must remember that there were only scraps to work with. I'm not Gordon Ramsay. How am I gonna cook with scraps? After mucking about at the shader code written by the engine and employing post-Cold War communist tactics, I somehow managed to get this working. After so many unhelpful errors, I finally present to you this. Ta-da! And that's what life's all about, messing around and finding out. It's how we learned everything about science, how to walk, how to ride bikes, or even how to write a program more complex than Hello World. Because I'm bored and I'm on holiday again, however without Wi-Fi, I thought I might as well use my newfound knowledge to recreate a Foggy shader. I could just stick with Unity's built-in one from the rendering window, but honestly, it kinda sucks. Besides, I've been watching this graphics programmer called Ace Roller, and he makes some pretty cool shader stuff. Some of which I want to put in this. With that, the strange habit of reading programming papers which led me to start this project in the first place, and my previous extremely hands-on experience with shaders, I began to crack on with that too, staring cluelessly at my computer in the darkness. I remember asking myself, is it more important than fixing this tonight? My mind's telling me no, but my body's telling me yes. So I ignored it, obviously. Eventually, I finished, just to realize that I replicated the basic Unity fog shader just without customization. And so, in my drained delusion, I randomly decided to change something. I still don't know what to this day, and it all broke. And so I eventually gave in to common sense, gave up on programming it myself, and decided to permanently borrow somebody else's work. Hey, at least you can't say I haven't tried. For your main course, please do feast your eyes on this visual user interface. A bright, bubbly set of panels complemented with a rotating car model and a responsive button selection. It's quite the upgrade from those which you've previously seen, isn't it? This one in particular, being quite hideous. Look, I know I don't have an autistic bone in my body, and if I probably did, it's probably shattered. So what have I done instead to elevate the previous UI? Do you remember how in the previous video, do go check it out if you haven't, I did a little bit of brainstorming and I found Persona 5 UI, a visual masterpiece, and so I'm doing my take on it. Specifically, what I'm doing is I'm taking a 3D model just as how Persona 5 did, and it rotated into 2D image positions and integrate that into the menu. So what I've done is I've instead taken the 3D model of the car, and I'm using Tween, which is actually a pretty cool Unity library, do check it out if you haven't, to basically linearly interpolate the rotation and position of the car to fit 4 different, menu poses. Besides, this is just an excuse for me to teach you about scriptable objects. Use them.
What I've also done is attempt to use the sort response that I got back in my YouTube poll.
I can't really know for certain, but to decide what you guys might be expecting from the general design of the UI, and that is a sleek design.
For those of you who are looking for inspiration on what a good UI looks like, I recommend that you check out the Game UI database.
You already know where I went to go get my inspiration, so I don't need to bore you with the details. Check them out though. Not sponsored. Wish you were. Pay me.
The point is, after pulling together the little artistic talents that I possess, I've now got 2 pictures.
Yay! Now, why did it take so long? Well, I'm a cheapskate and I refuse to pay for Adobe Photoshop. And so what I'm using instead is Pixel, which just allows me to make up to 3 free images a day. Once again, not sponsored, wish I was. It took maybe 2 days and I got that sorted without spending anything. Now, it was time to finally implement it. One of the things I struggled with, apart from drawing something visually appealing, was the parallax background. I mean, I had achieved something very similar when I was making a game to revise for my GCSE subjects instead of just hitting the books. I mean, I got a 9 anyways. The problem with why it doesn't work in my current game is because... come here. I faked it. For those of you who have never heard of the parallax effect before, it's basically the visual effect which causes things which are really close to you, right, to seem way bigger and move way faster than those things which are out in the background. Because I was basically using one static image, I was lazy and instead of moving the layers in comparison to the camera, I instead just moved the camera. And when I try and translate that into the current game, at least the first time, it sucked. But I did it the proper way the second time around, and now it's perfect. And finally, for your dessert, our chef has prepared a little surprise for you. You might find it does well in smoothing out this course. Please, do enjoy. Hold on, wait a second. This isn't what I've ordered. I've ordered manual drifting as my dessert. Hasn't this been what you've been promising this whole time? My deepest apologies. Perhaps our chef can explain what the cause of this confusion may be. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but I've just realized something. I've made this game to be highly reliant on mostly accurate physics and, to be honest, manual drifting disrupts that too much. Well, in order to get a good manual drift going, what I'd basically have to do is, instead of just applying a normal regular turning force, or torque, for those of you who physically care, I would have to basically break that and manually rotate the car using, let's say, quaternions or something, which, for 2 reasons. 1, it's a nuisance, and 2, not physically accurate. And so what I've decided is that manual drifting isn't exactly going to pay off, and so that's going to be the one promise from previous videos which I've not been able to keep. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a horrible liar. But what I will do instead is right my wrongs and tell you what I've done to one-up the previous promises I've made instead.
The tutorial. I've got a sandbox level going now by basically reusing the playground level. It's a lot more freeing than the visual assault, which was the old tutorial track. Plus, now it's allowed me to revamp how I would show the hints. Now I've got some sort of Rocket League kind of thing where the hints come up at specific times where the user would have to press the button shown on the screen to mess around with the car and through that way, learn. Once that's over, the car and playground are all yours to muck about in.
Well, because I'm me, that doesn't necessarily stop me from telling you something I have planned for the future, which is like 90%, okay no, it's 50% done, and that combos. So what I've already done so far is I've got a drift boost, which basically means is if you keep drifting for a while, you'll see a drift number just go up and up and up and up, probably in the bottom of the corner here as well, and if you press a certain button, which I think should be left shift on keyboard and right trigger on controller, because I got controllers support, I need to do it for the menu. What you can do now is essentially use that to establish combos. It's still automatic drifting, but hey, it's something, and we might be able to use that in creating better maps.
Okay, so even if you're an OG viewer or not, if you're looking for any updates on this channel whilst I'm not able to currently post, I definitely recommend that you check out the Instagram, same handle, Smash, and perhaps in the future, depending on what happens, I might even have a Discord for more detailed interactions between you and I. But in the meantime, Smash for now, and of course the comment section. And so, I do recommend that you also check out this video here if you're interested in devlogs, or this video here if you're also interested in watching people play games at a particularly low level. And so on that note, I'll see you in the next video.